counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me, keep on running, toes they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win, applied myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win, applied myself.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Carl Talking College. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm ready for another great episode of CTC. Before we get into the episode, I would just like to first of all shout out Refuse to Lose Network. That is the network that this show was under. Thank you again for giving me an opportunity to deliver some college football predictions to you guys. Secondly, I would like to bring up that I would like for y'all to either like, comment, or subscribe. You can do all three if you like. If you like what you're listening to, if you're new here, et cetera, et cetera. If you just want to support me, that's cool too. I ain't mad at it. All right. And we're going to first get into some chats. We want to talk about some chats. So we do offer chats at Refuse to Lose Network. They used to be free, but now they come with a fee. And that fee is by joining a membership. We have the pro level membership, $2.99. You get emotes. You get priority chats. You get to join one chat of your choice. Then we have the All-Star, which I'm currently an All-Star member as well. $4.99 a month. You get access to all Refuse to Lose chats except for the Refuse to Lose chat. So football, NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, MLB, combat. We even go as far as having a parlay chat, things of that nature. So, I said combat. Combat includes boxing, UFC. If you want to throw a little wrestling in there, you can do that. Talk about some Bellator. People watch that if you're interested in that. Just a wide variety of sports. I think I said baseball, but if not, baseball as well. And then you get everything else with the pro as well. And then you have the final level, which is the Superstar, $9.99. You get access to every chat, including the Refuse to Lose chat. You get access to everything from Superstar and pro level memberships. And you even get a chance to join the show and talk. If you feel like you have something to say, you're a Superstar member. Hey, I want to do an episode of CTC. Hey, I want to be on the main Refuse to Lose show. Hey, I want to be on BWT with Teddy. Well, you know what? I'm not going to speak for them. But for me, if you're a Superstar member and you feel like you want to come on here and talk some college sports with me, I'm more than welcome. You're more than welcome to. But those are the chats. Now, my last thing I would like to say is please enjoy the episode. We're going to get into college football predictions, college football playoff predictions based on my Power 5 predictions I did throughout these past couple of weeks. And I'm going to even give y'all some player award predictions. And that's a Superstar member right there, Jerry, talking about Florida State, how I disappointed him in the chat of college football, the college football chat. Hey, look, I appreciate you not boycotting me, my boy. Appreciate that. So first, let's get into these. Let's get into some awards because the awards come before the playoffs. The Heisman's before the playoffs, and I think they're before some bowl games, if not all of them. I can't remember, but we're gonna get into some awards. So, Florida State quarterback. I'm gonna just do finalists, 3 finalists for each award. My first award, Heisman. Let's go over that real quick. I have Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis last year, passed for 3,214 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I have Southern California's Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman winner. won the Heisman last year with 4,537 yards, 42 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. A crazy year for the DC native. Shout out to DMV. That's where I'm from. So shout out to DMV. Then lastly, could it be a Devontae Smith all over again? I have Marvin Harrison Jr. being the third finalist for the Heisman last year with 77 catches, 1,263 yards, and 14 touchdowns. I understand CJ Stroud is no longer there, but hey, Marvin Harrison, he's just a dog. Straight up. Route running, got speed, hands. Look, Jerry, I understand last year wasn't enough, but I'll get into that in a minute. So the reason why Jordan Travis is top 3 on my finalists, it's based on my prediction. If Jordan Travis can lead Florida State to 12-0, ACC championship game against Clemson, and win that game to go 13-0 and a possible playoff spot, it's no way, in my opinion, Jordan Travis is not a Heisman finalist. If he's the catalyst to a 13-0 season, winning an ACC championship, getting Florida State that elusive ACC championship that it hasn't had in quite some time, it's just the national media has been hungry for Florida State to be on top of the ACC again. You know, Florida State, the buzz around Florida State has been so much this year. If he can actually live up to the buzz of Florida State this year, he has to be a Heisman finalist. Now, we know Caleb Williams, he's going to have the numbers. We know Caleb Williams, he's going to be probably the best quarterback in the country. But I think if he can, like I said, just living up to that hype can give him that edge. So, with that being said, I'll just go into my winner based on my predictions. Based on my prediction, I have Florida State, like I said, 13-0. So I have, it's just 3, Jerry. And based on my predictions with Drake May, I don't think Carolina wins enough games. I don't. I think I have them 9-3, 10-2. They don't make the ACC championship game. There's a Florida State Clemson ACC championship game based on my predictions. Love Drake May to death. I actually have Drake May and another finalist I'll get to in a minute. But my Heisman winner is Jordan Travis if he makes the playoffs, and all my predictions based on that ACC episode, which you can check out on Refuse to Lose under CCC. If that happens, Jordan Travis wins the Heisman. Now, if it doesn't happen, then scratch all that. He doesn't win it. Caleb Williams is going to be the 2-time Heisman champion. But like I said, it's based on my predictions. So I'm going Jordan Travis. Now we go to the Davey O'Brien Award, which is the best quarterback. Well, is awarded to the best quarterback in the nation. Now, Drake May is in this. I have, as the 3 finalists, Caleb Williams, as already announced with his stats. Drake May, North Carolina, 4,321 yards, 38 touchdowns, 7 picks. And I agree with Jerry. I think he is the better quarterback than Jordan Travis, for sure. No questions. But it's just not. It's not always about how you play with the Heisman. It's team success as well, meeting or even exceeding expectations. So that's why I have him getting Davey O'Brien. I mean, not getting it, but being in the Davey O'Brien, but not the Heisman. And my final finalist for Davey O'Brien is obviously Caleb Williams. And with that, and Jordan Travis. And with that being said, my winner of the Davey O'Brien, Caleb Williams. Now, what you could be saying right now is, Carl, you have Jordan Travis winning the Heisman. How does he not win the Davey O'Brien? If y'all remember last year, Caleb Williams won the Heisman, but Max Duggan from TCU won the Davey O'Brien. Max Duggan, he had a great year at TCU, but like we mentioned in our Pac-12 preview, he didn't start as the starter against Colorado over Chandler Morris. He took over in Colorado and never looked back. Led TCU to the Big 12 championship game. My bad. I said Pac-12 episode. It was the Big 12 episode, excuse me. He led TCU to the Big 12 championship where he eventually lost to K-State. But he still had a great year and led TCU to the playoffs. Caleb Williams, he's going to be the best quarterback in the country, like Jay said earlier in the comments. He's going to put up the numbers, obviously, to be a Heisman candidate. I think Jordan Travis, based on my predictions, wins because of the hype and everything else. But Caleb Williams is still going to win the best quarterback in the nation award. So from the Davey O'Brien, we go to the Maxwell. Maxwell Award is the same thing as the Heisman, in my opinion. It just carries, it's like a little less clout, for lack of a better term, than the Heisman. So my Maxwell Award is the same thing as the Heisman. Jordan Travis wins it based on my Heisman reasoning. The same 3 players are finalists for the Heisman as it is for the Maxwell, so I'm not going to dig too much into that. We go from the Davey O'Brien to the Doak Walker Award, which is the best running back in the country. My 3 nominations are, well, my 3 finalists will be Blake Corum out of Michigan. Yes, I know. Carl of all people is nominating the Michigan player. Can't be biased on the show. Blake Corum, one of the best backs in the country, had 1,463 yards on 247 carries and 18 touchdowns last year. Mind you, he didn't play in the playoff, so could have been even more. So that's 1. Number 2, I have Quinshon Judkins out of Ole Miss, a freshman last year, stepping into his sophomore season. Jerry, last year that didn't happen, though. Last year, Davey O'Brien went to Max Dugan. Caleb Williams won the Heisman, so it could happen again. But my second pick, Quinshon Judkins, 1,567 yards, 16 touchdowns on 274 carries out of Ole Miss. Like I said, stepping into his sophomore year, going to get better. Has that great offensive mind and Lane Kiffin as head coach. So I think he's going to be for sure top 3 back in the country. And my last back for the Doak Walker is Nick Singleton. Freshman as well last year, stepping into his sophomore year, had 1,061 yards, 12 touchdowns on 156 carries. So more carries for Nick Singleton coming into the year. He's going to have a great year at Penn State. Penn State likes to run the ball. I understand Penn State has Drew Allard, and they might go to the air more, but you still have to feed those backs. And Nick Singleton, you have to feed Nick Singleton. Excuse me. You have to feed him. He's that good of a player. And the winner of the Doak Walker, in my opinion, pains me to say it, but again, I got to be unbiased on the show. It's going to be Blake Corum. Blake Corum, best back in the country. I understand. I don't have Michigan winning. I don't have Michigan even going to the Big Ten championship. I have Ohio State doing that, but you can't deny that man's talent. He shouldn't even be in college football. He's one of those guys. If it wasn't for the NIL, he would have went to the draft last year. He would have probably been a first-round pick. Maybe not because of the injury, but maybe. And no injury, no NIL, no question. He's the first-round pick last year. He's probably over Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs last year, probably. So I have to give Blake Corum this Doak Walker Award. He shouldn't be here. So we're going to move on from the Doak Walker to the Fred Biletnikoff, rewarded to the best receiver in the country. Obviously, if I have him as a finalist for the Heisman, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be nominated for the Fred Biletnikoff. Then I have Emeka Ibuka, also out of Ohio State, 1,151 yards, 10 touchdowns on 74 catches last year. No. Caleb Williams won the Heisman. Max Dugan won the Davey O'Brien, Jerry. Caleb Williams is your reigning Heisman. But Emeka Ibuka is also going to be up there for the Biletnikoff. And then I personally have another Ole Miss guy. Now he was a former UTSA receiver. Now going to Ole Miss, Zachary Franklin. Has a nose for the end zone, can get open. Had 1,137 yards, 15 touchdowns on 93 catches. Like I said, gets open, has a nose for the football. One of the best receivers in the country. Probably one of the best. I mean, one of the slept on. He's a gem for sure. If you don't watch Group of Five, keep an eye out for Zachary Franklin. He's going to be nice. But my winner, obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. You can't not win the Fred Biletnikoff Award if you're a receiver, in my opinion, being a Heisman finalist. Just can't happen. So he wins the Fred Biletnikoff hands down. From the Biletnikoff, we go to the John Mackey. John Mackey, I believe Brock Bowers. Excuse me. I don't know what I'm doing. Brock Bowers. He's going to be a finalist. 942 yards as a tight end is insane in college football. He had 7 touchdowns on 63 catches. To me, by far and by easily the best tight end in the country the past 2, maybe even 3 years. We move on from Brock Bowers at Georgia to Mason Taylor out of LSU. He had a great freshman year. I was about to say rookie. He had a great freshman year. At LSU with Jaden Daniels, I think his role is even going to expand now that Keyshawn Boutte is gone. Malik Neighbors is going to step up as well, but I think Mason Taylor is going to have a bigger role. Mason Taylor last year had 414 yards on 3 touchdowns and 38 catches. Look for all of those to be improved next year. Then we go to Mason Fairchild as my final finalist out of Kansas. I like Mason Fairchild last year. I think he's pretty, I don't want to say underrated or slept on, but I don't know if a lot of guys really paid attention to Mason Fairchild last year. I think he's also going to improve at Kansas. I think his role is going to get, he's going to get a bigger role there. Jalen Daniels, another year chemistry with him. So he last year had 443 yards, 6 touchdowns on 35 catches. 6 touchdowns is pretty good for a tight end. But I think there's a clear and obvious winner of the John Mackey Award, and that's Brock Bowers. Again, Brock Bowers, the best tight end in the country by far. He's going to be a tight end that gets drafted in the first round. Hopefully, guys like Kyle Pitts don't mess that up. Hopefully, Kyle Pitts can have a great year so people won't be weary of Brock Bowers. But I think Brock Bowers is a shoo-in for a first-round pick after this season. So he's my winner for the John Mackey. Moving on from the John Mackey, we go to the Jim Thorpe Award for the best DB in the country. Now, Jim Thorpe Award, I might have a guy here y'all might not expect me to have. But first, we'll talk about Benjamin Morrison. Pains me to give another guy. Y'all know I don't like Notre Dame either. But Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. Lockdown corner. Had 6 picks last year. 5 pass breakups, 33 total tackles, 22 solo tackles, was only a freshman at Notre Dame. He's only going to get better under Marcus Freeman's defense. Look for him to be one of the best DBs in the country next year at Notre Dame. Moving on from Benjamin Morrison, we go to Quinyon Mitchell, my sleeper, my guy out of Toledo. Had 5 picks last year, 4 in one game. He had 19 pass breakups. He had 42 tackles, 27 solo tackles. One of the best corners in the MAC. He's pushing, he's fighting for one of the best corners in the country. Hopefully he has another great year. I think he will have another great year. Now you can say, oh, he's in the MAC conference. The MAC conference isn't as great. Doesn't have as much talent. But 2 or 3 MAC schools have receivers transferring to Power 5. So he was going against talent. He went against not Quintez Cephas. That's out of Wisconsin. He went against Kent State receiver. Blank on his name right now. Cephas from Kent State. He went against guys that got Power 5 offers from last year. So look out for Quinyon Mitchell. And my last guy, no tie, it is not Kalen King. It is Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. Kool-Aid McKinstry again, another one of those corners he's just special. While Eli Ricks had his down year, in my opinion, at Alabama, Kool-Aid actually had a great year at Alabama. He had only 1 pick, but 15 pass breakups. And he had 35 tackles. That's his bad handwriting. That 3 looks like an 8. 35 tackles, or 29 solo tackles. If you'd have had 85 tackles, then y'all would have been looking at me crazy because 85 tackles for a cornerback is crazy. With 35 tackles, 29 solo tackles, I think Kool-Aid is going to have a great year again. I'm sorry, Jerry. Yes, I know there's honorable mentions like Dejon Cooper, like Placid, Kalen King, but Kool-Aid to me is going to be up there for the 3rd finalist. And my winner is going to be Benjamin Morrison. I think he's going to stack another great year. This is now his sophomore year. I think he's going to do nothing but get better. Look for him to have more pass breakups. Topping 6 picks is going to be tough. I can't say he's going to top. And I can't say he's going to top 6 picks. I can't, because that's a lot to do. But I think he can maybe match it if teams decide to throw his way. But I don't think teams really going to throw enough his way. So my winner, Benjamin Morrison. Moving on to the Chuck Bednarik Award, which is the best defensive player in the country. My 3 finalists, Harold Perkins out of LSU, now making the move to middle linebacker, but he's not going to stay at middle linebacker. Perkins. Let's talk about Harold Perkins for a second. Harold Perkins. Oh, my bad. We got Javon with the $199 super chat. Drake May for Heisman, Tar Heel football. Hey, Javon, I'm high on Drake May. Very high. Draco, my guy. Love Drake May to death. I just don't see North Carolina winning enough games in my prediction to where he's in the Heisman finalist with Jordan Travis, Caleb Williams, and Marvin Harrison. I love Drake May. I hope he does get it. But if Marvin Harrison has the year that everybody, including me, expects, you might see a receiver again in that Heisman race. And Drake May is going to be the odd man out, unfortunately. It's painful me. It's as painful as it is for me to say it. I think he's out of it. It hurts. I'm with you on Drake May. I love Drake May. But to the Chuck McNair and Harold Perkins, shout out again, Javon, for the super chat. But Harold Perkins, that speed as a freshman last year, 3 to 4 sacks against Arkansas last year. That was his breakout game as a freshman. Like I said, his speed, the ability to rush the passer, the ability he could go sideline to sideline. They're going to have him all over the place on that defense, on the edge, in the middle. So, and pass coverage. If Harold Perkins has the year that everybody thinks he's going to have, including me, he's going to be the best defensive player in the country to me, and it won't be close. But my other nominees for the Chuck Bernard, Jared Verse, another guy. He's a guy. The transfer from out of Albany had 9 sacks last year at Florida State. So he wasn't just one of those guys that was at a lower conference, lower level school, and he transfers to a Power 5 school and it doesn't translate. No. 9 sacks last year, 47 tackles, 22 solo tackles at the DN position. Jared Verse can rush the passer, can bull rush, has speed there. Jared Verse is, again, one of those guys. And my last guy, Chuck Bednarik Award, is going to be Jalen Ford. I saw Jeremiah Trotter, Jerry. I don't know, man. Jalen Ford is another one of those guys out of Texas. 119 tackles, 62 solo, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 picks last year. He can do it all at that linebacker spot as well. As you can see, 4 interceptions. I thought about it, Jerry, but I couldn't. I only had room for 3. I'm sorry. I hope he, I think he's going to be great, but these are my 3 for the Chuck Bednarik. And the winner is Harold Perkins, sophomore year. Again, I think he's going to have an astounding leap from his freshman year this year. From the Chuck Bednarik, we're going to go to the Ted Hendricks for the best DN. On mine, I have Jared Verse again. Jared Verse, already explained it. I have Caleb, and I know I'm about to butcher this, another DC native, but this name is pretty African. Okuchukwu, and I only know that because one of my friends in high school, whose last name was Agbumbaduga, so I kind of learned how to pronounce it, but I ain't that great, so cut me some slack, Caleb. But he had 48 tackles, 30 solo tackles, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a pick at Syracuse last year. Syracuse had a fairly good defense, up and down offense. I think Caleb is again going to expound in that season. Looking for him to have around the same numbers, maybe even. I don't think he's going to get a pick again, but around 7 sacks, maybe a little bit more, maybe pushing 8 or 9. Caleb is just a dog on that edge as well. And my last pick, numbers weren't that great, but he's a pretty good defender. Ethan Downs wreaks havoc on that defensive end from Oklahoma. Ethan Downs had 38 tackles, 18 solo, 4.5 sacks. Look for that to increase. I think Ethan Downs gets more than 4.5 sacks next year under that Brett Venables defense. I think Brett Venables going to have him primed to have like 6-7 sacks at Oklahoma. And my winner for the Ted Hendricks Award, Jared Verse. To me, easily the best DN in the nation, in the country. First round pick. He had to come back. I think this is his junior year, so he had to come back. So Jared Verse wins the Ted Hendricks Award. Moving on from the Ted Hendricks Award, we go to the Buckets Award, best linebacker in the country. Harold Perkins, again, if I have him as the best defender in the country, he obviously got to be in the running for the best at his position. Jalen Ford, I have him in the running for the Buckets. So not the Jesus Christ, why did I forget that fast? The Ben Merrick Award. So he got to be in my running for the best at this position. And I got some other guys. I got Danny Stossman as like a dark horse. 124 tackles out of Oklahoma. He's coming back. 70 solo tackles, 3 sacks, 2 picks. So he's shown he can blitz, catch. He can play a little pass coverage. He has a nose for the football. Obviously, with 124 tackles, I think Oklahoma defense might get a little better. Brett Venables' second year there. So now some more dark horses. Marlo Wax, 88 tackles, 55 solo tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 2 fumbles. A guy that really jumped off the screen to me at Syracuse as well. I just really like Marlo Wax's game. And my last one, how can I leave without giving a Spartan something, man? I got to give a Spartan something. Cal Holiday, the boogeyman, Michigan State linebacker, just knows for the football. Wherever the football is, you can find Cal Holiday. Just an old school smash mouth linebacker. Last year, 120 tackles, 42 solo, a sack and a half, and 1 forced fumble. Michigan State defense wasn't great, but that bright spot was old Cal Holiday for sure. Hopefully that defense gets a lot better this year, but just keep an eye out for Cal Holiday. And the winner of the Buckets Award, obviously Harold Perkins. If I haven't winning the best defensive player in the country, he has to win the Buckets Award. And then we finally have the Bronco Nagurski, which again is the best defender. And that's Harold Perkins. No need to get into that. Same thing I had for the Beneric. You might as well just for the Nagurski. And my last award, we have Coach of the Year. Now, this is again based on my predictions. I have Florida State going to the playoffs. So it's only right that Mike Norvell wins Coach of the Year. Mike Norvell, I believe he was on a hot seat if it wasn't for last year. If they go, again, 13-0, ACC championship to the playoffs, there's no way Mike Norvell doesn't get Coach of the Year. Now, my runner-ups, obviously Nick Saban's always in the running for that. Bama, I have going undefeated in the SEC and beating Georgia, undefeated versus undefeated, maybe even 1 versus 2 that game. But I have Alabama coming out on top, as previously mentioned in my SEC preview. If you haven't heard me seen that, go check that out, please. I appreciate it. And my last runner-up, Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley will be a runner-up as well because I have Caleb Williams in Southern California going undefeated, winning the Pac-12, winning against Notre Dame, Oregon, Washington. So I think Lincoln Riley will take SC to the playoffs. He has to be a nominee for Coach of the Year. But the winner will obviously, in my opinion, have to be Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell, like I said earlier, got the buzz of Florida State. Get to that in a second, Jerry. Got the buzz with Florida State. I think he wins that. And matter of fact, since you brought it up, we can talk about my predictions right now. So, first of all, let's start with the college football playoffs will be taking place January 1st, 2024. The locations will be at the Rose Bowl, first game at 5 o'clock. Second game will be at the Sugar Bowl. I can say 8 o'clock, but you never know how the game goes. Might be 8, might be 8:30. There was no information of which venue holds 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. But last year, 1 versus 4 played, 2 versus 3 played first, and 1 versus 4 played second. So I'm gonna just assume that's how it's gonna be this year. So the Rose Bowl was the first one at 5, so that's my 2 versus 3 game. And so my number 1 overall seed has to be Alabama. If Alabama goes undefeated and beats Georgia in the SEC championship like I have, those guys they're not going to not put Alabama first. I know that was a double negative. This is in a literature class. Funny enough, this is a college football show, but this isn't football. This is the literature. But for sure, 1 overall. Committee is going to for sure put Bama at number 1 if they go undefeated and beat Georgia for the SEC championship. I know I'm going to hear from Tony, but like I said in the SEC championship preview, it's going to be a hard-fought game. Reading the comment. Bama, I think they're pretty much fed up with this whole Georgia BS. Kirby Smart now taking over as the best coach of college football. I think Nick Saban going to have them guys ready to go. So, and let's not forget I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with this year, but 2 years ago, Bama did beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and Bryce Young looked pretty primed to win in the national championship game before he lost John Mechie and Jamison Williams. So that's just something to something to think about. My number 2, Southern California. Now I know what you're thinking, Carl. How is Florida State not 2? Me personally, I don't know. I flip flop between 2 and 3, but as I'm flip flopping now between 2 and 3, to be honest with you, they're going to play each other, so it kind of doesn't matter. But I don't know. I have SC2, but you know what? I'll switch it live on the show. Florida State is going to be 2, and here's why. If I give you all these reasons why Jordan Travis may have less numbers than Caleb Williams, but still win the Heisman, and Mike Norvell wins Coach of the Year, the committee has to put Florida State at 2 then, based on my predictions. Because then it would kind of seem hypocritical to put USC 2 and Florida State 3, but give these awards out to these guys based on the hype train and all these other things. Now, not to say that Southern Cal doesn't have the hype train either, because college football would love for Southern Cal, as it currently did last year, to get back to the years of Matt Lyon and Reggie Bush and those dominating years. I'm pretty sure college football fans have been fiending for that. But to me, the ACC slightly stronger than the Pac-12. Well, honestly, to me, they're about the same thing. They're on the same level, same tier, to be honest with you. But I'll give Florida State number 2. I'm sorry, Jerry. I get it. You're a Florida fan, but I got to be unbiased. If I can give a Michigan fan an award, I got to be unbiased here. So 2 is going to be Florida State, and 3 is going to be SC, being 13-0 with a Pac-12 championship. And my number 4 team, Ohio State. It hurts. I lost my head on that one. Ohio State is number 4. And here's why. Ohio State, I have won 12-1 with winning the Big Ten. With, a loss to Notre Dame. But wins against Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State. Those 3 wins would be, and combined with winning the Big Ten championship against, my opinion, Wisconsin, would be better than Texas wins of Oklahoma, losing to Bama, which would be number 1. So that's not a bad loss. Oklahoma right now is probably going to be its best win, which would you say Oklahoma is a better win against Michigan? Maybe, maybe not. I say no. Is Oklahoma a better win than Penn State? I say no. And Big Ten, to me, is a more powerful conference than the Big 12. Big 12 got 4 newcomers. Houston, I think Houston's going to struggle. BYU's going to struggle. And Cincy's going to struggle. I think UCF, based on its schedule, has a great year. But none of those teams are better wins than Michigan or Penn State. And for that reason, I have Texas looking outside at 5. Or no, you know what? I don't have Texas at 5. And here's why. They're going to put Georgia at 5. If Georgia goes undefeated but lose to Bama in the SEC championship, they don't care that Texas wins the Big 12, in my opinion, with only 1 loss being Bama. They're not going to care because it's Georgia. And Georgia's an SEC school, and they're the defending champs. They might even sneak Georgia in over Ohio State. I personally would disagree with that, but the committee might do that. We never know about the committee. So I have Georgia at 5 looking in, and I have Texas at 6 looking in. Is it fair? No. But the committee, like I said, we never know what this committee is thinking. But based on my predictions of what the committee is going to do, I think they're going to have Georgia 5, Texas 6. So that leaves the Rose Bowl of Florida State versus SC. And I have Caleb Williams and the Southern California Trojans coming out with the W. I think it's going to be a shootout. And I think Caleb Williams has shown he's well equipped to win shootouts time in and time out. I understand I have Florida State being a better defense. Yes, Joe. I think they're out because they lose the SEC championship game to Bama. Then you have 2 other champions undefeated. Now, like I said, they might sneak them in at 4 and kick Ohio State out at 4, even though Ohio State would be a 1-loss Big Ten champion, in my opinion. But who knows? But I have SC winning winning a shootout. Caleb Williams having a great game, I should have won the Heisman game. And yeah, they take care of business against Florida State. Jerry's going to be happy. And then we go to the Sugar Bowl, which would be Bama versus Ohio State. I have Bama taking a W against Ohio State. Bama's been here. Nick Saban, the tradition. He's going to have them ready. The experience of Nick Saban. I understand they have a new quarterback, but it's so late in the season, it's not going to matter. And also, Ohio State is going to have a new quarterback. I think Bama defense balls out. I think the offense is going to be able to control the clock. I get that Jim Knowles, with that another year with that defense, Ohio State defense should be a lot better, but I just can't go against Bama, the SEC talent, the SEC tradition. Can't go against Bama. And so my national championship game will be number 1 Bama versus number 2 Southern California Trojans. And the winner, again, winning so many championships, is Nick Saban and that Alabama team. Caleb Williams has a great game, but Nick Saban eventually gets to him. He eventually sends the pressure. Southern California, they can't sustain it. Bama wins the game. I can't bet against Nick Saban. Nick Saban also has Lincoln Riley number going back to Oklahoma. So I understand Lincoln Riley has the best quarterback he's probably ever coached. Caleb Williams is better than Kyler. He's better than Baker. I think he's the best quarterback that he's ever had. Don't think it's enough still. I don't. So like Joe said, I have Nick Saban getting back in his chair, letting y'all know that this is still my jungle. I still run college football. Yeah, I had the last 2 years. I didn't win it, but I had injuries stop me 1 year. And last year I had a 2-point conversion. Bryce Young fought, but that Bama defense gave up a 2-point conversion. LSU won the SEC West. Got smoked by Georgia. I couldn't get in. Think he gets in and shows everybody why he's still the best coach in college football. I think Nick Saban's on a revenge tour just like Bama's on a revenge tour, to be honest. A motivated Nick Saban, I think that's a scary sight. So, Bama wins the Natty. Bama goes undefeated, 15-0. And they just keep on rolling. Then what more can I say? So that's all I have for y'all today. That's all the awards I have. I've given you finalists as well as winners with the awards. I've given you my full playoff teams. Ohio State and Georgia, like I said, we'll never know about the committee. So that could be one thing that gets swapped. And I've given you Alabama as our national champion. So again, I appreciate y'all for watching the show. I hope y'all had fun. I hope you learned. I appreciate everybody in the comments. Ty, I'm sorry about Kalen King. Again, hey, look, but you got Nick Singleton at Dope Walker. So you got something. You got something. But again, if you would like, leave a like, comment, subscribe. This has been Carl with CTC, and I hope to catch y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.